Well, we talked about the oracle planet yesterday. We've got a different one today. It's the moon. Slipped in there in between Uranus and the sun as today's sun is rising. Hi, everybody. It's Thursday, June 13th. Thomas Miller on the Fun Astrology Podcast. Glad you're here. So, yeah, at least as the transits go, today the moon oracled the sun. Hey, everybody, the sun is coming, the other luminary. So there's a focus on the luminaries today, obviously. And that's after the moon entered Gemini at 3:25 this morning Eastern Time. So that's a fresh Gemini moon oracling a 20-degree Cancer sun. And as the moon closes the gap toward that new moon, which will be next Monday, it will be the oracle planet, the one coming up before the sun, all the way through Monday. Then it switches back to Uranus on Tuesday. Moon will be on the other side of the sun by then. Like I said, I don't know the gravity of the significance of that as far as transits go, but it is fun to play with. Anyway, it's a little signifier in the chart that's worth noting. And of all the signs that the moon could be in to say, hey, the sun is coming up, why not be Gemini ruled by Mercury? Now that's an oracle. We still have the Yod that we were talking about last week. That's still with us. Pluto and Neptune at the base, Mars and Venus up at the top. So I kind of do two check-ins on these kinds of things. You know, when you cross it, you just think about it again, as we are here. Has there been anything in my own life showing up with these kinds of themes? So we talked about the other day, health, certainly money, certainly relationships. Could also throw our spiritual path in there, our path of transformation. How are we doing on that? So that's a place where you can touch base. You can see, is there anything showing up there that might be triggering or be a result of the trigger of this energy? Then the other thing I do is take a look out at the landscape and see if it's showing up anywhere else out there. And by the time you're listening to this, there will be a lot of old news on this subject compared to when I'm recording this, but the NATO meetings have been going on for the last couple of days. Whenever these people get together, you always have to wonder, what are they up to? And with Mars and Pluto in this aspect, you have to be wondering about war. I know there have been conversations. I don't know what will come of it, but you just have to observe. Because all that gang that flew in on those corporate jets and government jets and all of that also are feeling this Yod. And we talked about the moon at the beginning. One other little punch here is that the moon is going to square Mars early this morning, just shy of 7 a.m. Eastern Time. So that adds a little bit more edge to that Mars position. Now today at 1 degree Virgo, but also still very prominent at the top of the witch's hat in the Yod. To me, the best positioning here is to be minding our own business and minding our own chart and those things that are coming up for us to work on. So make sure you're on top of your spiritual game there and just be aware, be conscious. And then if there is anything, you can surf that energy to your advantage. I mean, this is like kind of a blank check of sorts of the universe to say if there's something you'd like to change in your life, here's some energy to work on that. Then as far as the collective, which we don't have as much direct influence on, but certainly at times are affected by, Venus and Neptune are here, and even though it is that quincunx aspect, we can send love from our soul. And I think a good dose of unconditional loving awareness from a soul that is tuned in and is living their highest timeline does a lot to offset quote-unquote negative aspects. So these are great times it's just everything is a square up. Where am I in this process? Am I succumbing to things I can't control? Am I a dandelion flower in the wind just blowing about here and there? Or am I consciously living my life according to my chart, according to my intuition? Am I on my spiritual path? Am I taking advantage of transformational opportunities to up my game and raise my timeline so that when I say I'm living my highest timeline, that bar gets raised at times like this for me and for you? And from those intentions and that kind of commitment, we pray for the world that is not quite there yet, but we hope they get there. And, you know, I would throw a prayer in as well that says if anybody is up to no good as far as trying to do things that they shouldn't be doing and that the world doesn't want, may they be blocked. May Pluto and Saturn and Neptune, because see, Saturn's almost at the midpoint of the base of this thing too. May they get together and just throw a great big old wrench in their cogs. Don't think that prayer doesn't have some oomph to it, too. Pluto's at the table, Mars is at the table, and it's a Yod. Now, we have another one coming. Remember, we talked about that earlier. We have another yod coming. That will be here on Monday, so we'll set that up when it arrives. But I think this one is the more powerful of the two. However, Neptune is at the top of the one next week, so there's your spiritual punch. Added intuition on the high timeline, lies, deceptions, mirages, and facades on the low end of the timeline. Now let's just mention the Sun sextiling Uranus. That's tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll talk about that because it is so late in the day. We'll talk about that as we set up the day and the weekend tomorrow. No Ray Merriman tomorrow. They're doing a webinar on Sunday, but we will set up the weekend, although it's going to be quiet. So enjoy the reprieve. I think we've set it up pretty well otherwise as far as what's in the sky, so just enjoy now. Have a wonderful Thursday. See you back tomorrow. Love you.